Hi there, Ram owners. Today in your 2017 Ram 1500, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install CURT's front mount hitch. And this is what our front hitch looks like when it's installed. The cross tube is going to be hidden behind our front bumper here. We will be able to see the receiver here at the front in the center, and you'll be able to see the tow hooks that come attached to your front hitch. And I'd like that the tow hooks are attached to the hitch here because you actually will remove your tow hooks if you have them present here to install this hitch. So it's cool that they've got them on here so that way you can still utilize that functionality after installing your hitch. And this hitch offers a 500-pound tongue weight, and that's the force going down on top of our receiver. And 500 pounds should be more than enough for most of the things you're intending on using this for. If you're going to be using it for like bike racks and cargo carriers, you should have no problem putting like a 4-bike rack fully loaded up on here. You do want to keep in mind that with tongue weight, that's the weight of anything placed in the receiver plus anything on it. So if it was like a cargo carrier, that'd be the weight of the cargo carrier plus the weight of any gear you're putting on the cargo carrier. It's also should be enough too if you're using it for like an over the cab extender. You can put that on there to help support some ladders and weight as well. Just keep in mind 500 pounds is the maximum you got for your tongue weight. It also offers a 5,000-pound gross towing capacity, and that's how much that it can pull. A lot of people like to use these for moving trailers around in their driveway. If you've got a spot that you like to put your trailer really close to your house that might be kind of a difficult spot to back into, if you take your ball mount out of the back and slide it into your front hitch here, having your steer axle right next to the ball makes it significantly easier. You get a lot more fidelity with moving your trailer around, making it way easier to get it parked into a tight spot without any issues. It also offers a 9,000-pound line pull, which is useful for winch guys out there. A lot of people like to put a winch on these. And with 9,000 pounds, that should be more than enough for anything you're planning on using your winch for. If your truck gets stuff, you should be able to pull yourself out with that. If you get a winch installed on here, and you should be able to pull out most of your buddies with that as well. I do like that it's got the tow hooks on here too. So if you do install a winch, you can utilize those tow hooks in assistance to like wrap it around a tree and hook on there to help pull yourself out, or again, you can use those to help pull somebody else out if you're using the truck to do so. So it really opens up the versatility of your Ram. You'll secure your accessories to your hitch using a 5/8 inch hitch pin and clip. Now, one doesn't come included with the hitch, but we've got plenty available here at eTrailer. And I'd also recommend locking ones so you can protect your investments. If we take a look at those tow hook attachments, it's got a very large opening, so you should be able to fit just about any kind of chain or tow strap that you need to on there. And it's not overly thick, so if you do have like a smaller one, it can still attach on there as well. So now I've got some measurements for you to help you when deciding on accessories. From the center of our hitch pin hole to the edge of our front bumper, we're measuring right at about 8 inches. And that's important when determining if your accessories will contact the bumper when inserted into your receiver, and if it has any kind of storage position that it folds up, whether it will contact the bumper when placed into that storage position. And from the ground to the top inside edge of our receiver tube, we're measuring right at about 16 inches. And this is important when determining if you need to drop a rise or a raise shank on your accessories, and it's also useful to know about the clearance that you've got here at the front of your truck for maybe if you're going to do any off-roading and things like that, so you know kind of what you're going to be able to clear. All right, now that we've covered some of the features of our hitch, why don't you follow along with me in the shop here and we'll show you how to get it installed. It is a pretty easy install. There is a little bit of drilling required, but I would say this is something you could probably do in your driveway in about a half an hour. So yeah, let's get her up in the air here and we'll show you how to do it. You could easily do this laying on the ground though. All right, guys, we're going to begin our installation here at the front of the vehicle. So underneath right here on each side, you may or may not have a tow hook present. Now this is where they would attach if you did have them. We don't have any in this location on ours, so we don't need to remove them, but it's kind of a nice thing you want to look at. Remove the bolt and tow hook if it is present there. Next thing we're going to do, once you get your tow hooks out of the way, is we're going to prepare our hardware. So take the hex head bolts that come in your kit and the conical tooth washers. Place one conical tooth washer on each of the hex head bolts, and we want the teeth to face away from the head of the bolt. And at this point now, you're probably going to want to grab yourself an extra set of hands because we're going to lift this up and we're going to bolt it right in our front hitch, right in where our tow hooks used to be. So I'm going to go grab an extra set of hands here to help me do it because it is pretty heavy, so I do recommend having somebody there with you. So now we've got an extra set of hands here. We're gonna lift our hitch up into position. And we've got those bolts that we had prepared. We'll then take our bolts with the hardware we prepared, and we're just gonna feed those up through the bottom of our hitch and thread them right into those factory weld nuts in the bottom of the frame. So now we're just gonna grab a 19mm socket, and we're gonna go ahead and just snug these up. There we go, just so it touches the bottom of the frame, because we're gonna have to drill out the remaining holes that attaches our hitch. So now we're gonna drill out our remaining holes. That's gonna be these holes here. So you just got one on each side that you need to drill. So we kind of butted this up, that way it's leaning up against the bottom of the frame. We're gonna use a 17/32 drill bit to drill out this hole. So we'll get that started up in there. I'm gonna try to drill the hole in the center. And what I usually like to do is after I kind of just mark where the center is with my 17/32, it's such a large bit, it's hard to kind of get it to start and drill through. We'll switch to a smaller size, give us a pilot hole, and then step it up to that 17/32. I just like using that 17/32 to kind of get my center mark. There we go. Just switch back and step it on up. All right, guys, now we're gonna feed our hardware in. So we're gonna take the coiled wire that comes in our kit here. We're gonna take the coiled end and we're gonna go up through the hole that we had just drilled out. And we did drill this on the other side as well. After we drilled this one, we just repeated the same process over on the other side to drill it out. We're feeding this up through this hole towards the back. And there's this kind of rectangular opening right here. This is what we're trying to achieve. So I'm just kind of sticking my finger in there, kind of poking it around some, seeing if I can't find the coiled wire. And there it is. And we'll just pull it out. I like to take the other end here without the coil and just put a little 90 bend in it. That just helps keep the coiled wire from falling through this direction. We'll now grab our hardware. The spacer that comes in your kit here will slide over the coiled end. You can just poke that into the frame. And then on the side of our coiled end, we're going to use the carriage bolt that comes in our kit, and we're just going to thread it right in to this coiled end. And then push it into the frame, pull our coiled wire until our bolts drop down through the opening. We can then remove our coiled wire and install the nut. After you remove your coiled wire, do be careful not to push the bolt back up into the frame because it can be difficult to retrieve. And then just carefully thread this on there. One of the things you can do to help from pushing it up is if you put a little bit of side pressure on the bolt. So I'm pushing it towards the front of the vehicle. That'll keep it from wanting to go upwards. I'll just get that on there, and then we're going to feed in the hardware on the other side the same way. We can now go back and tighten our hardware. We're going to use a 19mm socket for these as well. Do the other side. And then we'll swap out for our torque wrench and torque all of the hardware to the specifications outlined in our instructions. Do keep in mind that the carriage bolts that we fed into the frame are going to be a different torque than the ones up at the front. And then you may need an extension for the one that's up a little bit higher in order to torque these. All right, now that we've got all the hardware torqued down, that will complete our installation. We're ready to load up our favorite accessories up here and hit the road. And that completes our installation of CURT's front mount hitch on our 2017 Ram 1500.